Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Level Up in Wild Mode. So we're going to look at Rogue this time. This is a deck which I've been using to actually get up to Diamond, which is pretty good. So let's talk about it. So Pharaoh Cat, very good in the opening hand. Now, I mean, there's certain things like Mad Scientist as well is very good in the opening hand. They're the two cards I would say out of all of them that you're probably going to always want to keep in the opening hand. I actually do kind of like to have Dragon's Horde in the opening hand as well, purely because it gives you like several options. You can either see what sort of deck your opponent's playing, and then cater to that. It can be like a useful utility card. There's lots of combos that I would Shadow Jeweler Hanar is often pretty useful. Um, One of the kind of the key things about playing Rogue, especially in Wild Mode with this deck, is the use of the Shadow Step. Like there's so many different things there's so many good like battle cries. I mean, this obviously, I mean that a combo is a battle cry, so you may want to do that. But like for instance, I wouldn't necessarily do that even if I was playing it early and I happen to have Shadow Step in my hand, because really like Shadow Step can be very powerful with Tess. Tess is like a card because I've had this card for a long time. Um, you always have to be careful with like the spells from other classes you're playing, because obviously if they're going to repeat again, then the targets are going to be random. So you can't do like a direct damage unless the direct damage spell specifically mentions enemies only, because otherwise it's going to destroy your own board. I mean, you could potentially do it if you've got like a bunch of minions and you're simply trying to do it for to increase your board control. So that is like it's kind of an interesting thing, like in that respect, um, because it may not even like. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to do more than one random direct damage spell. It's probably a bit too like random for that. But the other thing as well is Questing Adventurer. Like you can get huge plays out of this, especially also Shadow Step it as well. Um, I mean, you also got Cheat Death in there, so that will actually give you a. This is very useful to have on the Questing Adventurer. Um, Similar sort of things with Van Cleef. You can get, if you get really good hands, like I'm trying to think of like the best possible hand you can get. It's you can I've got like I think I've got like 10 on turn 3 or 4. Like because you've got so many low cost cards, when it's like a one cost with the coin, with the prep, with the shadow step, with a secret, all those things will essentially combine to give you a very small amount of mana spent for a huge Van Cleef. So they're things to keep in mind. Plagiarize, I would say, probably its best use is between turns 5 and 8, maybe. That's the time when your opponent is most likely to play like really good cards. Like if you think about it, like normally, a player will play really good cards up until that point, and then by the time you get to like turn like say 11, 12, like turn 15, 16, they're basically just playing whatever they've got. But they would, but normally you're going to want to play like your really good card, like like a good tempo turn. I think that's kind of like a general rule. Uh, Blackjack Stunner can also bring cards to your own hand back, so you could actually do that. It's sort of like a less good preparation. Um, because sap, right? Sap is only for enemy minions, so it's kind of like. Let's have a look at sap if I can find it. Yeah, sap is only for enemy minions. I should probably know that, seeing it's been in the game the whole time. But um, the advantage, obviously, with Black Stone is you can use it on any minion. So it really, and in fact, in a way, it's actually more powerful than the Shadow Stone. It's like a um, same kidnapper, actually, isn't it? So Vendetta is really. This is probably actually a card that I'd probably, especially if you've got Pharaoh Cat and Water One Thief, you're almost certainly going to be able to get a Vendetta on turn 2. Well, you get it on turn 1 actually, but so this is really useful removal, especially if they've got like some ridiculously powerful early play. Um, it's a bit like it's a game-breaking amount of damage for 0 mana, right? Um, and yeah, I mean it's just a really fun deck to play. Obviously, you've got Secret Passage as well. I mean, if you look at the actual mana cost of Secret Passage, when you really think about it, it's like you've got a good chance of pulling like at least a couple of 1 or 2 cost cards. So you could easily pull like 2 1 cost cards from that. one or below is 14 cards, right? So if you've got that, you've got a Secret Passage and the rest is higher cost, is 2 or more, then there's 13 cards you could pull. So that's going to be, do you know, there's 13 cards you could pull out of what, like the 26, 25 remaining, that are going to be 1 or less. So it's kind of like, when you think about it in that way, it's kind of, you can really play it like quite an early turn, because you've actually got a pretty good chance of pulling something that I mean, look, you're not going to want to pull Blackjack Stano early, so I guess you can remove that. But you've got a good chance of pulling, the sorts of cards you would want to pull would be One Thief, Feral Cat, Dragon's Hoard. And remember, when you get these cards, they actually stay in your hand after the end of the turn. So all those things are pretty useful, and yeah, really fun deck to play. So thanks for watching.